Hi, I'm Daniel Gold, and welcome to the Gold Standard Leadership Lab. By day, I'm a partner at a leading advisory firm where I draw upon my background as an attorney to help my clients succeed. This podcast, though, is my personal project, completely separate and apart from my day job, but reflects the same passion that I exhibit everywhere for teaching, mentoring, and helping others succeed through simple, impactful lessons. It is my hope that you'll walk away with practical takeaways to help you on your leadership journey. Thanks for being a part of this community and for joining me in the Leadership Lab. Let's get started. 3 words. Just 3. That is all it takes to change everything for someone on your team. And those 3 words are the following. I got this. That's it. Because real leadership shows up in what you do when someone on your team needs something. And you, as a leader, have the power to remove that obstacle entirely. It shows up in the moments when someone feels pressure they cannot name, a worry they cannot shake, or stress that is draining their focus. In those moments, the words you choose matter less than the presence that you offer. Because great leaders do more than help. They absorb the weight. They take the burden off of someone's shoulders so that the person can stop worrying and they can start performing. They step into the gap and create a sense of safety that changes how someone shows up. That's why those 3 words, I got this, that's what that actually means. It is ownership that is spoken out loud. Most leaders think they're being supportive when they say things like this. Let me see what I can do. Have you heard that one before? Or how about this one? I'll talk to some people. Or finally, I'm sure you've heard this one, of course. Keep me posted on how that goes. These responses sound helpful. They sound engaged. They sound supportive, and they aren't wrong. They're just incomplete. Why? Because they keep the anxiety on the other person's plate. The person is still wondering if it'll work out. They're still carrying the stress. They're still looking over their shoulder, hoping that you'll come through. The energy of uncertainty does not leave their mind or their day. But here's the thing. Real leadership removes that anxiety entirely. When you say something like, I got this, and you actually mean it, you are taking ownership. You are the one telling someone they can stop worrying about the particular thing because you are going to handle it. You're giving them the space to breathe. You're giving them the space to think and work through and without that extra pressure hanging over them. You're removing barriers so people can do their best work. You're clearing out noise so you can operate better because they can operate with focus. You're giving them permission to direct their energy towards what matters most, and that is the work. Because here's the thing. Here's what really separates leaders who say supportive things from leaders who actually support people. There is a big difference. When someone asks for time off, most leaders will say, sure, that should be fine. Just make sure your projects are covered. The leaders who get it, they say something like this. Absolutely. I'll make sure your workload is redistributed while you're gone. Don't check your email. I've got this. Here's what changes. One person goes on vacation still stressed about what's piling up. The other actually rests. One stays connected out of fear, and the other disconnects out of trust. It's a massive difference. And so when someone is struggling with a difficult client, most leaders will say, let me know if you need me to jump in. But leaders who get it, well, what they say is, I'm joining your next call with them. You're not going to handle this alone. I've got this. So watch what happens. One person keeps carrying the full weight. The other has backup they can count on. The sense of partnership changes their confidence and their performance. When someone needs resources for a project, most leaders will probably say, well, you know what, put together what you need and we'll review it. But the leaders who get it, they'll say, here's your budget, here's your support, go build something great. I've got this. The impact here, one person spends weeks justifying and negotiating, the other starts creating value immediately. One gets stuck in friction and the other moves with momentum. That's a big difference, and that also means revenue. So when someone makes a mistake, most leaders will say, we need to talk about what happened. The leaders who get it, I'm handling the client, you focus on fixing the process, I've got this. Here's the shift that happens. One person spirals in shame and fear. That's terrible. And the other, they learn and they move forward. Unfortunately, one's going to retreat, and the other team member, well, they're going to grow. Each one of these moments I just shared with you literally shapes culture in your organization. Each one of them creates signals about what is safe and what is expected. They do. You may not realize this, but they really, truly do. And so when people know that they have support, they operate with clarity instead of fear. The 3 words, I got this, is calm reassurance that someone does not have to carry something alone anymore. It is leadership expressed through presence. It is confidence expressed through action. It's showing up to a meeting you did not have to attend because you knew your team member needed support. It's covering someone's work when they're out sick without them having to ask. It's fighting for someone's promotion in a room they're not in. And that one could not be a bigger opportunity for trust. It's taking the heat from a senior leader so your team does not have to. It's staying late to help someone meet a deadline because they need it. These moments may go unnoticed. They rarely get celebrated. They will never appear in year-end reports, yet I tell you this, they shape trust in ways that few leadership books will ever address. Because these are the small, consistent actions, consistent ones, that tell people you actually have their back. They build a culture where people feel supported and respected and seen. When you operate with the I got this mindset, it requires emotional resilience and the willingness to absorb stress. Leaders can develop this by practicing self-awareness and setting boundaries that support their capacity. This kind of support is sustainable when the leader understands their own limits and knows how to manage their own energy. It requires you to absorb stress rather than to deflect it. And it requires you as a leader to take on the weight instead of passing it back. And it requires you to step forward when it would be so much easier to just step aside. When someone comes to you with a problem, the easy response is to bounce it back to them with advice or guidance. That keeps the problem theirs. It keeps the pressure on the person who's already under strain. When you say, I got this, it means the problem becomes yours. Because it is. You're taking the weight off of their plate and putting it on yours. And look, it's not comfortable. That's actually really hard to do. And that takes energy and time you may not feel like you have. But here's the thing. This requires intention, and it requires presence, and it requires care on a whole new level. But here's the thing. That's exactly what leadership is. Leadership means that you are absorbing problems so your team can focus on doing great work instead of managing obstacles. Leadership means clearing the path so others can run. Leadership means choosing service even when the easier option is avoidance. So here's how you know if you're actually leading this way. When someone on your team goes on vacation, do they truly disconnect? When someone asks for help, do they feel relief? And when someone makes a mistake, Do they come to you immediately, or do they hide it because they're afraid of your reaction? When someone has a personal crisis, do they tell you, or do they pretend everything's fine because they don't trust you to handle it? Your team's behavior is the litmus test. It tells you everything about whether you're actually saying, I got this, through your actions, because team, you cannot fake this. People feel it. People see it. And people know when someone will step in for them and when someone will step aside. A team shows you the truth long before a leader does, because few leaders do this well, providing air cover. Your team member is working on something important. Senior leadership is asking questions, getting impatient, and second-guessing the approach. Pressure begins to build from above, and most leaders pass that pressure down. Now, your team member is doing their work and managing leadership's anxiety at the same time. That dual pressure slows everything down. Leaders who get it provide the air cover. They will say, I'm handling leadership. You focus on doing this right. I've got this. They absorb the pressure from above so their team can execute. They protect focus. They protect quality. They protect the person's ability to think clearly. And you are protecting them from distractions so they can deliver the results you need. You're giving them the conditions needed to perform at an optimal level. Many leaders underestimate the impact of this. Air cover means shielding your team from noise so they can give it their best effort. It means reducing stress that basically does not serve the work. And while some leaders will worry, well, I got this means lowering standards, or it means I'm going to be removing accountability from team members. No, this is something completely different, entirely different. You can have high standards, you could have accountability, but you can also remove obstacles. Both things can be true at the same time. You can hold people accountable while taking burdens off their shoulders. You can expect excellence while you also provide support. Again, both things can be true. I got this means focus on what you're responsible for, and I will handle the rest. Your job is to execute this project with clarity and skill. My job is to make sure that you have what you need to do that. You focus on excellence. I focus on barriers that get in your way. And that's really the division of labor that creates high performance. At the end of the day, that's the partnership that really, truly builds trust. So think about a time when someone said, I got this to you, and actually meant it. Someone who took a burden off your shoulders completely. Someone who had your back in a way that changed how you felt. And when you think about that, think about how you felt during that moment. Because that's what you can give to your team every single day. Through small, consistent actions that say, you don't have to carry this alone. Through presence, that builds confidence. That is leadership. So this week, look for opportunities to say, I got this, and actually mean it. When someone asks for time off, handle the workload. Someone's feeling overwhelmed, take something off of their plate. Someone else needs resources? Cool. Get them what they need. Someone's dealing with a difficult situation? Show up and carry some of that weight. Leadership means removing obstacles so your team can do their best work. It's absorbing stress so they can focus on creating value. It means saying, I got this, and proving it through your actions. And so here's this week's challenge. Identify one person on your team who's carrying something they don't need to carry alone, and tell them, I got this. And then actually do it. Remove that obstacle. Absorb the stress. Prove through your actions that they can actually count on you. And remember, leadership isn't about perfection. It is about progress. Take this lesson, put it into action, and continue setting the gold standard in your own life and at work. See you all next time.